Hello, my name is Bethany Yargstorff. I am the administrator for the Helios Ensemble, and I am also a singer in this group and will be a soloist in the Rau Tavara. I have Jared Peterson with me here today, who will be singing a bass solo in this work. Hi, Jared.
Hi, thank you for having me.
What can we expect to hear from the Rau Tavara?
Yeah, so this is something that you've probably never heard before. It's full of microtonalism and glissandi, sliding tones, and like you said, the basso profondo solo, as well as there's three other soloists. There's a tenor solo, alto solo, and a soprano solo that's featured as well.
Mm-hmm. Could you tell us a little more about how basso profondo fits into the Vespers?
There are 6 movements that this basso profondo solo is featured in, and 4 of those are just solo basso profondo, and 2 of them are paired with the tenor and alto and soprano soloists as well. But yeah, there's so much low tones in this. It really harkens to that more Slavic, traditional Orthodox culture. Let me just talk a little bit about what a basso profondo actually is. So this is referring to a very, very low, deep, rich, resonant voice. Depending on the country of origin that it comes from, it's a little bit different. So in the European tradition, mainly rooted in opera, basso profondi are expected to have a low D, sing a low D over an orchestra. And that's just about it. But in order to do that, you need to have a range well below that note in order to resonate that note over an orchestra. When it comes to more like the Orthodox traditions, such as like in Slavic countries, that is quite different.
Yeah, why is there such a tradition of low singing in the Orthodox church service?
So in Orthodox traditions, they believe that the only instrument that should be used to glorify God is the human voice. So they needed a voice type to cover that sub-frequency that in Europe they use the organ for. So what ended up happening is they used basso profondos. There's a special term for them called octavists. They sing an octave below the written bass line. So they can sing all the way down to a low G below low C. In recorded history, the lowest voice ever heard was a Russian basso profondo called Mikhail Zatopolsky, and he had a C1, the very first C, the very bottom C on a piano. So they can get really, really low, really down there. Similarly to European tradition way back when, how they would seek out castrati voices, they would actually seek out young boys who had just gone through puberty and developed these extreme voices, and they would send them off to become octavists. And that's why in Slavic countries it's so prevalent, whereas it's not as prevalent in European countries or America or anything like that.
Thank you, that's so interesting. So how did these traditional Orthodox influences work their way into Finland?
Throughout history, Finland has had a strong appreciation for Slavic culture in general. And actually, in eastern Finland, there is quite a few Orthodox churches there. So they actually took in that culture for themselves. So Rau Tavara, he used a lot of these traditional Orthodox elements in this piece, such as the really, really low bass line, the use of a basso profondo soloist. That isn't really often heard in European music. Rau Tavara worked very closely with this basso profondo, this Finnish basso profondo, named Jyrki Korhonen, and he actually wrote art song for him. I think it's called The Waltz of the Innocents, is one that he wrote specifically for his voice. And I wouldn't be surprised if he also had Jyrki's voice in mind for this voice part.
Well, we're excited to hear you sing it. What does it feel like to sing that low?
Yeah, so I personally am not profondo. However, I am a true bass, so I don't quite have that extreme low end that the basso profondi do. But I do have that more depth of tone and lower tessitura that separates me from a bass baritone. But yeah, it really is a special feeling in just about every choir that I've been a part of The conductors have always said that like I'm like the foundation of the entire ensemble. But as far as physically, it rattles my head when I'm singing low, and I can feel all throughout like my chest and into my shoulders even a little bit, just like this rumble when I'm down there.
So how did you get into music, and specifically how did you discover that you had this low bass voice?
I didn't really think about singing until much later not much later in my life, but later than a lot of people. I didn't actually join a choir until my junior year in high school. But yeah, I had developed this low voice, but I was in bands and I'd played piano and stuff like that. So I was definitely in the music realm. But yeah, I had friends in choir who were like, yeah, you need to join. You've got like a great low voice. I was like, okay, I guess I'll audition. So yeah, I auditioned. I sang Amazing Grace, and then I made it into the top ensemble in my choir. And then the following year, I auditioned for the regional honor choir and then made it up all the way to all-state. I knew I wanted to teach music, so I went to my undergrad and got a bachelor's degree in music education. Shortly after, I came down here to University of Arizona, where I pursued vocal performance, a master's in vocal performance, and this was mainly to supplement that education degree. But while I was here at U of A, I really discovered my love for performing. So that's what I'm doing right now. Is I'm currently pursuing a professional career in opera with this, but teaching will always be a part of my background. I love teaching. I love taking on students, so that will always be a part of my life.
We're glad to have you with Helios. I think this is going to be a really unique listening experience for the audience. We hear a lot of high voices in pop music, so I think having such a big bass moment in this work will be a really cool experience for everyone.
Yeah, I'm so excited to do this and share this with everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being with us for this interview. We hope to see you all at our concert on Sunday, November 9th at 4 p.m. at Grace St. Paul's Episcopal Church. Tickets are available at heliosensemble.org. We're so excited to present this program for you.